Hey, you guys, this is Steve Hoffa. Welcome to episode number 41. I really appreciate you tuning in. Josh Paxton. I love this guy. Funny guy. And I would describe him as he's just one of those dudes that has a good head on his shoulders, and I appreciate that in any man. And I think you will too. So, Josh Paxton, welcome to the show, and welcome you, the viewer. This is the Standing Still Podcast. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Steve Hoffa. This is the Standing Still Podcast. So stoked that you're listening. So stoked that you're watching on YouTube. Oh, my goodness. So much fun here. I got a great man here today. Joshua Paxton. Oh, my gosh. Met this guy in high school, and he is so hard to nail down. He's a slippery, symmetrical motherfucker, but I love him. I always give him crap because he's a good-looking dude.
Oh,
and
stop.
There's good-looking people that are like, man, like just nature has molded you like randomly. This guy was made in a science lab. Look how symmetrical he is. There's,
he's been saying this since we were in high school that I'm symmetrical, and I still don't get it.
And cut you in half and not know which side to eat first.
See this jawline? I cut a piece of paper. That's not symmetrical, all right?
Got a piece of paper.
You can go back to geometry or something.
But
thanks for having me, man. It's cool.
Yeah, it's
cool to finally be here.
We're both busy guys. You work nights. I'm working early mornings. So I got my white man issued Harley Davidson with the flames that show when the coffee gets hot. It's kind of a thing that you do when you check in at the Caucasian events. But
dude, you made it in life when you got a Harley Davidson mug that's got flames.
I love the French roast pour with the coffee.
I'm almost pretty sure those flames were already there before you put the coffee in it.
Just from holding it in my hands?
No, I think it's just a bogus mug.
Okay. Well, I'm super stoked that you're here. Literally like 20 minutes before you came here, I was kind of, okay, man, what am I going to talk about? I showed up. There's a couple questions that we'll finish the show with from Instagram, people that wanted to ask and kind of check that in, some fans. So we'll get into that. You got to follow us on Instagram if you're not already, Standing Still Podcast. But into the show, first thing, dude, I went on a first date. This has kind of become my specialty on this show is talking about awkward dates, dude, with myself and others. But so I went on this first date. We're still dating, which is, it's going to be interesting because when you hear how it went.
Is she going to watch the show?
She does watch the show.
Okay, all right. Careful what you say.
Careful what I say. Women are always listening, whether they're close by or not. So I got to be careful all the time. But so first date. Okay, so I met this girl at church, and we're going to meet up for coffee in this little uptown area called Uptown Whittier. For those of you that are local, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's kind of old and it's got some style, but there's kind of a lot of not so great people that live up there, so it's kind of run down too. Like you could see the potential and what they're going for, but some of the habitat that's there really kind of brings it down. But so we're getting coffee. Everything is going kind of okay. I'm being myself, which is actually really pretty hard to do for me. And then the first of many that come up is those people that are either trying to sell you something for some kind of whatever. This guy was selling like fruity strip candies for, I don't even know, I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, so he comes up and we're probably about 20 minutes in the date. And it's one of those things where you're on a date and I want you to see if, I'm curious of how you go through this because I've never had the owl's eyes on you while you're on a date. But you're trying to be yourself, or at least for me, I'm trying to be myself, right? Because a lot of times it's very hard for me, and when I'm trying to not be myself, or I'm just failing at being myself, I'm like the most boring person ever because I'm like overthinking everything. So I'm being myself, which is kind of this goofy guy, and when it works, it's just tons of laughter, and I love it. You know what I mean? And I'm in a great mood, which most people are great people when they're in great moods. And then this guy comes up, so you're overly thinking like, man, I'm being myself here. And the normal thing that I do is just like, no, thank you, get lost. You know what I mean? Like in a nice way, but like, dude, not gonna happen.
Wait, is this the guy selling the candy?
This is the guy selling the candy, yeah. So he comes up, and this isn't
is this a grown man or is this like a high schooler?
I was about to say that.
Or
yeah. I'm painting the picture, and you demand excellence. So let me tell you.
Well, hey, you know what? You keep painting. All right, give you the canvas. Keep going.
No. So yeah, he's a grown man, probably high 30s, early 40s. So
selling candy.
Selling like those sour strip candies. And it was like I don't even know what brand it was. It was just kind of like, here's a box of candy. Do you want some? And I was like, all right, that's cool, dude. Like, I'm not gonna eat it right now. I don't even feel like candy. She's like, no, thank you, I'm good. So I spent like the $5 and bought like 2 packs, and I was like, all right, well, whatever.
Wait. So you actually bought candy?
I bought candy
from a guy on the street.
Well, here's my.
This isn't like a high school kid. Like, hey, it's my for my football team. Buy some candy.
I figured for
you bought candy from a grown man.
The sweetest of candy from a grown man too.
Oh my god, dude.
So okay,
keep going.
So I bought this candy.
That's your first mistake.
Here's the thing, and like I said, this is the first of many to come. Okay, there was so many tests on this date. My thinking was like, you know what? If I tell the guy to get lost, it's a little bit of a risk because she can be like that was kind of rude, and I wanted candy, so I was like, dude, $5, whatever. You know what I mean? I'll buy candy. So she had one, and then I gave another one to the coffee place worker that came out and said we needed to leave because they were closing. So I gave away all the candy, right? Oh my gosh, he paid for the candy. He gave this man money when he needed it, and he gave away. What a humble man. I'm on fire in this date, okay? I'm killing it. All right. So we get kicked off of that coffee place, right? We were sitting outside before, and then I was like, well, it could be date over. We'd probably been hanging out for about 35, 45 minutes at the time. But I felt like it was going all right. So I was like, well, did you want to – we can walk Greenleaf, which is a street that just has a bunch of little shops and stuff like that. And it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, so it wasn't –
What time was it?
At the time when we started walking, it was probably 7:30 at night.
7:30 at night. Can we backpedal a little bit?
Oh, I love pedaling.
Backpedaling, okay.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for this candy?
Like $5.
For 2 packs of
2 packs of like it's like a 1-inch by like 4-inch strip where it has the.
So this guy's buying candy from a grown ass man for $5.
Oh, and I forgot. It backfired right away, and it was a great tell because I like to make fun of myself a lot, and you kind of have to watch it on the first date because it's like, geez, how like insecure is this guy? You know what I mean? Like he just shits on himself like left and right. You know what I mean? Which is not great. It's not a great image. So this guy, they're all fruity flavors, and I buy it. It's literally like, hey. Like, let me just buy it. Cool, he's a nice guy, and then get out of there. This guy's like, he all of a sudden thinks it's like his time to shine at the comedy nightclub because he's like, dude, I walked in. He starts telling me the story, and the $5 was like, here's the $5. The exchange was, give me the candy and get out of there. I was paying for you to leave as well as the candy. I wasn't just paying for the candy. I didn't read the contract full through and through. So this guy starts talking to me and her, and you could tell she's sitting quiet. Like, she just wants him to leave too because it's a grown man. It's not like a high school kid that we're helping out. You know what I mean? And he's going on and on about he walked into this barber shop, and it was full of black people, and they cleaned him out of all the watermelon. And we kind of me and her, we kind of gave him the, oh, that's cool, man. Haha, okay, now leave. Mm-hmm. And he looks at us, and he goes, you do understand, like, why that's funny, right? And we're like, yeah, man, I get it. He's like, but, like, you get the, like, watermelon, a barbershop? And we're like, yeah, dude. Yeah, we get it. Like, I'll see you later.
Get lost, bro.
And so he leaves. So that was a great way. I mean, the positives are that guy jumped into the fire to show me that she hates racist jokes. So I was like, okay. He dove on that grenade for me. So then we start walking, right? We start walking up Greenleaf to continue the story. And within about 15 minutes, 2 homeless people come up asking for money, and I gave $1 to each.
Okay,
I'm $7 into giving the world to go away. Like, here's money, take off. I'm $7 into this point. I still have some cash on me, some smaller bills and some larger bills. And we walk all the way up, and we're starting to walk back down, right? We're about a quarter way back down. So we've probably been walking for 20 to 30 minutes because we weren't just like a brisk walk going somewhere. We were just killing time, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's cool. Like, I'm not going to walk into a shop really, but if she sees something, it's like, dude, you just, you check it out, which is a great thing because if she's having a good time, then she'll do that. If she doesn't, it's just like, where are we going and where are we coming back? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was my read. So we were having a good time. A quarter of the way back. This is like the 4th or 5th person that's come up to us for something, either selling or money. Okay. And it's this older Caucasian woman, Some of us call them white. Older white woman. Older white woman, right? And she's sitting in her like little transformer chair that like turns into a walker. You know what I mean? And she's got a Bible in her lap. I am of the Christian faith, and she goes, she's kind of got like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, like not terrible, but like she's kind of looking through her eyebrows, and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, like, do you have any spare money?" And I was like, "I've had it at this point." You know what I mean? I've had it.
It's all these interruptions, man.
If she was the first person, she would never have to work again in her life, but she's not, so I don't have any money for
that
it.
$5.
Yeah, so I'm like $7 deep into helping humanity, and that's apparently my limit where I just shut it off. Like, okay, no more helping people. $7. And I go, you know what? I've only got plastic left, even though we all know I've got bills in my wallet at the same time.
You're a bad dude, man.
You're looking at me.
I'm already judging you right now.
You're looking at me with eyes.
I don't even have to listen to the rest of it.
Okay, all right, guy.
All right?
All right, guy. So I go, so you know what? I'm so sorry. Like, I only have plastic now. And she immediately was like, can you buy me something to eat? And I'm like, God, when will this, like, humbleness ever end? And I go, like, I was like, did you have something in mind? And, like, no hesitation. She goes, like, maybe something from there. And she points across the street. There's like a 50s diner across the street on the corner, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, and I'm like, the whole time I'm like, God, like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm not going to just hard no this woman now. Like, I'm in too deep, bro. Like, we've built a relationship already. You know what I mean? And she's like, maybe something from there. And this is all like me, I'm like, oh, like, did you have something? Like, you could tell I'm like, oh, like, geez, I don't really want to be here. Like, oh my gosh. But every answer that she does is like, well, can you buy me something to eat? Like, oh, maybe something from there. Like, she's got this dialed. She's the best salesman at getting free stuff, right? And she must have saw me walk up from the other side of the street and like, this guy's on a first date. When he walks by, I'm gonna hit him like a cobra. He's not even gonna see what happened.
She got you in the ankle, man.
Yeah, damn, one bit me in the ankles.
Hey, you know what though? I'll give it to her though. She's asking for food, not money.
True, I get that.
It's a little more enticing.
Well, hang on, gets even better. Gets even better. So okay, so she's like, maybe something from there, and I look over, and it's like 8 o'clock at night at this point, right? And it's a 50s diner, so I'm like, okay, what the hell am I gonna buy this woman at a 50s diner that's not like this huge extravagant thing? So I go, like, maybe like a muffin or something. And she like immediately, without hesitation, she goes, steak sandwich. And I was like, steak
and lobster. Oh, all right, my type of woman.
I go, steak sandwich. I don't know. And I'm like rubbing my belly, like, man, like, you know, Chris Farley in the van down by the river kind of thing. And I go, well, let me see what I can do. So we walk across the street, and I go in there. It's totally dead. There's like 2 booths that are taken. And this skinny female walks up to me. She's the waitress. And she's like, hi, how can I help you? I go, okay, here's the situation. I go, there's an older woman across the street. She's asking for it. And she immediately interrupts me. She goes, she's asking for the steak sandwich? I go, yeah, she is. Why? What's up? And she goes, she asks everybody for the steak sandwich. And tons of people have said that they've seen her walk out of like the most huge house up on the hill, up there in the nicer areas. And I go, really?
No.
Yes. So there are like tons of people, and they go, she's super racist. She's like, we've had some Middle Eastern people that actually buy her food, and she like won't take it. She's like a total bitch to them. Like, oh my, like she's super racist. People have seen her, like she'll go around the corner and then get in her car and leave. Like that's just what she does. And I've seen her since then. She just sits on that corner.
She looking the part too? Ratty clothes, like how's she?
She looks.
What's her demeanor? Like you know what I mean?
She looks like she had the like most badass Tour de France windbreaker 1992, but she's never washed it. That's what she's wearing. Right. So it doesn't look like homeless where it's like, oh my gosh, like you've got like crap all over you.
So she is a transformer.
She looks like a grungy person that's not homeless. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm torn between I want this thing to play out so much because the way I live my life now, I love this. It's kind of a blessing. Is I go either A, this is going to be great stand-up material the next time I get on stage, if ever, which I will. It'll be great stand-up material. Or B, this is going to be so funny on the podcast, and I just can't wait to figure out who I tell this story to, and I'm super glad it's you, Josh. So I'm torn between, like, I want this thing to last for the rest of the night. I want to carry this out. But I'm also on a first date, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how?
What was her take when the waitress said, "Hey, this
We-
chick's
we're-
totally playing you"?
We were both kind of like, wow. You know what I mean? Like,
What a piece of work.
what a piece of work. And she's telling me all this stuff. It's like 10 minutes. Like, this happened, and like all these crazy stories about how she was rude, and then the people have seen her in the house. You know what I mean? Like, this total. It wasn't like, yeah, we kind of think that she's kind of up to. It was like, no.
We know.
Like, we know. Every business around this area knows who she is. She's got a system. Like, so there was no, like, I don't know, do you believe the waitress? It was like, wow, that woman out there is a piece of work. Like, I have no, like, hesitation in believing the waitress. You know what I mean? So I looked, like, after 10 minutes, right? So now think, well, okay, so first I look at this girl's name. Well, I don't want to say her name, but this girl that I'm with, I look at her, and I go, well, what do you want to do? You want to just keep walking? Or do you want to, like, tell her, you know, do you want to go back up to her? And she's like, she kind of shrugged her shoulders, like, I don't care. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go back up to her just real quick. And I'm like, what can I say? What can I say that would be funny but also believable, like why I couldn't buy her a steak sandwich? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love, like, this is part of the meaning of standing still to me, as I love having the perspective and the consciousness to be in those positions and go, this is such a blessing because it's going to be so funny. You know what I mean? Like, some people, like me 7 years ago, probably have been like, is this really happening on this first date that I'm trying to impress this girl on? Like, this is happening to me. Like, this is terrible. But me, I'm like, you know, if the first date doesn't go well, like, oh, well, this is super great. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm like, all right, well, thank you for your time to the waitress. I'm like, we're going to take it easy. Hopefully, you know, hope for the best. So we walk out. We've already decided we're going to go back over there. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, what the hell am I going to tell this woman? I got about 30 seconds from the time we walk outside, and then we have to wait for cars and then walk across the street till we get this woman. So I got 30-second time limit of what can I say that's like gonna be funny but also believable, like why we can't buy her a steak sandwich. Okay, so we walk over there, and we've been in there for 10 minutes, so there's enough it wasn't like we walked in and walked back out. So the woman's probably thinking like, cool, he's really buying me something. So we walk back out empty-handed, of course, and I can see the woman's watching us as we walk out of the diner, like come all the way across. She's waiting for something. And I go up there and I go, I'm sorry, we couldn't buy you the sandwich. And she like looks up at me and she's like, well, why not? And I look at her through a different lens now. You know what I mean? I'm like, why not? Because you're a piece of shit. That's why not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at her through a different lens. But I go, I stay the part of like.
But you didn't say that.
I didn't.
Okay,
I'm
right,
keeping the part of like I'm the innocent virgin boy. You know what I mean?
That would have been
25.
awesome if you said that though. That would have been great.
So I walk up to her, and this is at 8:00 at night. I remind you, on like a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I couldn't buy you the sandwich because I just got the call from my doctor, and he said I have scoliosis, and I'm really nervous about it. Scoliosis is crooked spine, in case any younger listeners don't know what that is. So I can't buy you a steak sandwich.
That's what you came up with?
That's what I came up with. I swear I said it just like that. I can't buy you a sandwich because my doctor just called me, and he said I have scoliosis, and I'm really nervous about it. Because the doctor called me at 8 at night saying, hey, your spine is a little bit crooked. Because I'm standing straight up. Like, It wasn't like I was hunched over and it's super obvious. And she goes, well, can I pray for you? And I'm going, in my mind, I'm going, you keep trying to get that sandwich, but it's not coming, girl. It ain't coming. So I go, okay, fine. So she holds out her hand. The girl next to me doesn't grab her hand. I grab her hand. And then, you know, like an electric eel, we're all connected, so she can still feel her through me. So the girl that I'm with is holding my arm, and I'm holding the, quotes, homeless woman's hand. And she starts, like, shouting within 30 seconds. Like, she's giving the ultimate fake Hitler speech towards my well-being. She's shouting at the Nazis, right? She's going, like, praise Lord, let this disease, like, don't let this disease beat this man. Do not let it bring him down. And she's like got her head down, and she's like, you know, like doing the like, oh my gosh, I'm a Christian, and I'm like really shouting, and I'm passionate.
Honestly, I can't even believe you made it this far.
I
would have already.
We're
signed
standing there with our eyes open while this woman's
can
shouting.
Can I pray for you? No.
Dude, it goes on for like 5 minutes. People are walking by, like people are looking across the street, like what the hell's going on over there? And we're just standing there, like, okay, Like, when's this gonna be? Like,
See, this is another mistake, man.
Standing there while my like
First the
toaster,
candy,
like
man.
my bagel bites are just waiting to get done. Like standing there, like, okay, come on. And so she's shouting like, "Don't let the devil let this disease beat him." And we're looking at each other, like, and I'm thinking like, if this girl is cool with this, and we go on another date, she's a super cool girl, because all those other things tested me. This is testing her now. You know what I mean? Like, if she's still down to hang out after this, she's a cool girl. And so, yeah, like, people are walking by, like, dude, is everything okay? And I just look at people like, hey, what's going on? Like, I smiling at people doing, like, the white, like where you close your mouth.
That's awkward.
Yeah, like, it was pretty bad.
Yep.
So then finally she's like, amen, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, take care. And I've seen her since. And I really want to go back up to her.
You just got to, dude, you got to see it. See her take off in her car. See what house she goes to.
I do want to spy.
That's a
on her
common
little bit.
thing, dude.
I know.
That is a very common thing.
I know. That's
and
why I normally.
and that's why I never give money. I always tell them, hey, you want money or you need this? What do you need?
And that wasn't the last one. When we got back, I took my Honda CB. It's kind of my sexier motorcycle for the street. Not as practical, but golly, good gosh, it's a good-looking piece of metal, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with moving parts. You know which one I'm talking about, Josh. Is it a good-looking bike?
It's a good-looking bike.
Okay, thank you.
It is.
Thanks for stroking me. So, yeah, I took that one. So we walked back to the coffee shop where my bike's at. We were kind of standing there talking for another 15 minutes. And another guy came up, and you could tell he was on something. He was just talking crazy, but he was standing right next to us. I had to, like, stand in between me and the girl that I was with. Like, I was like, all right, then. Have a good night. Like, trying to get him to leave. You know what I mean? And he stood there for another 5 minutes. And I'm like, if this guy gets any closer, like, I'm going to have to tell him, like, all right, dude, you need to leave. But I'm just saying, like, 5 people came up to this that night. So I don't know if it was just a weird thing or if that's just how Uptown Whittier is. Or, ladies, if that's how it is when you walk around, you poor things. Because that was terrible. I would feel super awkward if I wasn't with this strong, burly, Carhartt jacketed wearing man that I sure am today.
Riding in on the CB.
Riding in on the CB 1100. So, yeah, that was the first date I went. Like, literally, it's become where it's like, I'm going on a first date. If it's boring, I'm so bummed. I will still say that, like, I hope the date works out. Like, that's still the top priority.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, right underneath it is, man, I hope I get a good story out of this.
You hope you get gypped from a fake homeless person. That's what you're hoping for?
I just, like, I mean, would you like a muffin or something? Steak sandwich. Well, steak sandwich! Like, swinging for the fences, dude.
You know me.
It was a $15
I'm a cheapskate,
sandwich.
bro.
It was.
I wouldn't even buy myself that sandwich.
No, I know. I looked it up and I was like,
you're getting chicken nuggets.
it was the most expensive sandwich on the menu, and it was $15.
Think about how many she got that night. Guarantee she got a few.
Like, she's just shacking hoagies in that windbreaker.
I had a dude that was asking for money. Okay.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I'm just looking at him going, you know what?
This is right when you woke up, right in your bed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's another story. So I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep right now.
Yeah. I just spilled coffee on my table, so
There
don't
you
even
go.
worry about
And
it.
I think you just shorted out all your stuff.
No,
but,
you're straight.
Yeah, I had a dude asking for money, and you know what? This is back when I was living down in Seal Beach,
Right.
and I just got done surfing, loaded the board up in the van.
Yeah.
I'm on PCH. I'm just cruising, and I'm at a red light, and this guy says, "Hey, hungry." He even says he's hungry, need food.
So he's got the sign.
Yeah, it says I need food, right?
Right.
So I roll down my window, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, what's up, man? You're hungry, or
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There's a McDonald's across the street, so you know what? I'm gonna do the nice thing, man. Jetted across the street. Got him. It was like early morning, so I got him some sausage McMuffins.
Right.
Got him 4.
You got him 4 sausage McMuffins.
Got him 4. They're cheap, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go back over to him to give it to him, and he I hand him like, "Hey, bro, here you go, man. I know you're hungry, whatever." And he looks at me like, "Is this for real?" and me, I'm going, it's kind of like he's surprised. He can't believe I bought him 4, not 1, but 4.
Right.
But no, he threw it on the ground and said, "Dude, I need money."
Yeah.
And so the first thing out of my mouth was, "Well, if that's what you wanted, you should put it on your sign."
Right.
And I took those McMuffins, man. I hopped back in my van. I took off and I ate them.
Right.
Like,
do you not understand? These sausage McMuffins are money, dude.
you know, but, it's kind of like a slap in the face. I go out of my way, had places to be. Guy says he's hungry. I buy him food.
To
and
me,
he says he wants money.
It's like the ultimate, like, you've lost all sense of shame. It's the ultimate, like, look at me, like, and this isn't me. This is how I would feel. This isn't me, like, putting that judgment on others, but it's like how I would feel if I was in this situation is, like, look at me, like, I'm willing to accept the fact that I'm at the bottom, and I'm willing to just ask another man for help, like, please. Like, I'm begging a stranger for anything, and then they give you something, and, like, and the whole thing is a betrayal. You know what I mean? Like, you're willing to, like, debase yourself that low to gain a little bit of something. You know what I'm saying? It's really sad for me. And I, like, there's, like, an instant, like, anger. Not anger, but there's an instant, like, are you kidding me, dude? But then you just kind of realize it. I always think, one thing I've heard a lot of recently, and it was one of those things where a really smart man that I know by the name of, I don't know him, but Joe Rogan was talking about this on his podcast. But how, like, before you look at something, you get mad, and reality is, like, he was thinking, it made me feel good because he's like, yeah, once I hit, like, my 40s, I would start thinking this way. And I was like, I already think like that, like, right now. You know what I mean? It made me feel smart. But, like, but he was talking about, like, how he views somebody, like, he used to get mad at, like, oh, that guy's this way. But now you view people of, like, they're the product of a childhood and this and this. Like, you're not trying to, like, place blame on somebody else than them, but everybody is a product of how they've grown up. And so I always think when I see those type of people, I go, like, what kind of situation, what kind of equation do you have to be a part of to that's the answer? You know what I mean? And it just bums me out. Like, do you have to have, like, no relationship with your parents? Like, do you have to just, like, it's a series of, like, you slowly.
I'd say it's a mixture of a product of where you came from.
Yeah.
But then also you're a human being and you're making those choices.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I actually know several people who started from nothing to, having, like, one in particular literally had absolutely nothing growing up, right?
Right.
Other family members were, either became homeless, died of overdoses, whatever. But how come this dude became a millionaire? Right. You know what I mean? And that's just your motivation. What motivates you? You know what I mean? What changed in your life that made you, turn your life around? Because, you could choose your fate.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for me, I have a weird spot. I have a lot of sympathy for people, but then once you see, like, your story right there is
the steak sandwich woman?
The steak sandwich woman, dude. Like, that kind of makes me mad. It's kind of funny. Like,
it's jacked up.
Because think about how many sandwiches she's bummed off of people, which is awesome. Right. But then think about, okay, how many more are out there? The guy that asked for food, I gave him food and wanted money instead to go,
right,
buy his fix or whatever.
Right.
And especially in the line of work that I'm in, it's I see it too often where they use that money to fuel their addiction or whatever. But
you know why I'm super happy, and I didn't mean to cut you off, because that totally segues into my next question.
All
and
right.
I've been thinking about this recently because we're talking about childhood and upbringing and kind of you're the product of stuff like that. But here's what I've been thinking about a lot lately is you naturally, and this is like the classic, like, as you start becoming an adult of, like, man, am I really just kind of be like my parents? You know what I mean? Have you noticed you're 25 now, right? Or are you 26?
Yeah.
You're 26? God, you're so much older, so much more symmetrical. Oh, God, I want to be like you, Josh. I really do. You can grow a sick-ass mustache.
It's growing in.
I love the fact that
it's in its infant stages, but
people started calling things sick, and then somebody was like, let's just put a little booty on the end of that. Like, that's a sick-ass mustache, and it works. You know what I mean? It's a great cherry on top of the whipped cream of the mustache market.
There it is, man.
Dude, I'm talking out my ass. But anyways, so what have you realized in your 26-year-old man, fairly successful for your age? I think I like to surround myself with great people, which is why I like to surround myself with you, young man, even though you're older than me. What do you think? What are some things that you notice over like that, dude? That's totally my dad, or like totally like what are some things that you do where you're like, God, I did that, and it's totally my mom or dad. You know what I mean? And some things that you maybe like.
I mean, are you talking just like?
I could already tell it's gonna be something funny and not serious coming because you have like a little whisper to your lip. You're like, are you talking?
No, because I mean, there's different things. Like, I find myself like something my dad does whenever he's.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll give you an example.
Hey, way to cut me off. All right. I'm just kidding, dude. Go ahead.
Catch you like a cannoli. So, okay. At work right now, I feel like I've been given a little bit more responsibility than I usually do, right? And the way the union system works kind of for an inside wireman is what I am. You're in a 5-year apprenticeship, and so the whole time you're an apprentice, and then you become a journeyman electrician, and then you're a journeyman, and then you're like a foreman, and then you're a general foreman, then superintendent, blah, 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 blah. So there's like, it's very leveled, right? Which is cool, but it also, there's positives and negatives to everything. But it's one of those things where it's like, dude, you're just an apprentice, shut up. Or, it's like, your foreman will explain stuff to your journeyman, and then the journeyman will explain stuff to your foreman, or to your apprentice, the apprentice that's working with them, or whatever. I've been doing a lot of things by myself, right? So they kind of give me the whole layout. There's a second floor of this building that we're working on that I did a lot of the makeup, right? I'm actually putting the wire nuts and hooking all the wires together. And it was a lot of work. And I'm not saying I did it all by myself. There's a ton of people. There's probably like 10 people on this floor. But he told me, he goes, if I see anything wrong, this is your baby. He goes, you walk the whole floor and look for mistakes because we're trying to like finish at 100%, trying to get that final inspection, right? And the last little bit of like anything you finish that's really complex is always the hardest. There's like the immediate like where you just start building. And then there's the last little bit where it's like, okay, this needs to be like, this whole building needs to be able to walk away from it and it works. That last like 25% is always the hardest of like crossing, somebody didn't finish this or whatever. So there's been a lot of stress with that, right? And I've noticed, to get back to my question, that my dad, anytime there's like that quick reaction, like let's say somebody cuts you off, you're like, you either have to react, that immediate reaction where it's just you. There is no like, okay, how would I want to play this out as a man that I would like to be? You know what I mean? There is none of that. Mm-hmm. You either react by backing down or you stand the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's kind of that man, and women I'm sure deal with it too. But there's either like the like you simmer down and you kind of like, okay, what's going on? Or you have to like just, okay, what the hell's going on? Like you either get up to fight or you simmer down. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. But there's that immediate reaction. And I've noticed, because my dad, God, I love that man. But sometimes we'll all just be driving to Scotty's family restaurant and somebody will cut him off. And my mom's like, honey. And he's like, don't tell me what I'm doing. Like, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't mean it. But that initial, like, he gets heightened, that stress, that immediate, like, shot of adrenaline. Floored. It is, yeah. That shot of adrenaline doesn't go, oh, my gosh, I need to chill down. I don't like adrenaline. It's like, man. And I've noticed that I feel like I'm calm. And I think back about how I reacted to somebody, because there's a lot of trash talking, and I have a hard time dealing with that sometimes. Because I can joke around with anybody else. But sometimes when I'm really trying to get something done, and then like I'll be working on something, and then somebody will be like, hey, I need you over here, so I'll go fix that. And then right when I come back, somebody's like, dude, you've been there for 2 hours. What the hell are you doing? And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I've been doing all the blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, simmer down. Like, I didn't even mean it. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, I've really been like my dad, dude. Yeah, so it's one of those, I'm like, dude, that is something I see that I could see there's you know, it comes from a place of like wanting to get it done, which I love that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes being motivated is something I struggle with. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that I'm like, I do want to get it done. I am motivated, but at the same time, I'm like, man, simmer down, dude, simmer down. Like it's kind of a weird, like, you have to be able to say like fuck that dude, like I don't care about him. You know what I mean? You have to be able to say that, but not wear it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I've noticed that it comes from my dad. So that's one thing that it's kind of an in-betweener. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of happy that I got that. I'm not just this guy that like backs down and like doesn't do anything. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Can you just take care of it? You know what I mean?
But on the same side, you gotta kind of manage it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because when I was
you
younger,
don't
I
wanna
would
be the
totally
dick.
I'd totally be the guy that's like, all right, who's gonna step up? And I'm in the back of the crowd. Like, I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that I've grown out of that. Like, which is kind of my mom's side. I think she's the sweetest person ever, but sometimes she doesn't stand up for herself. So I'm kind of, you know what I mean? I'm trying to catch that, like, all the positives of my mother and all the positives of my father. And right now at work, I'm catching all the negatives of my father. So it's one of those things where I've been thinking about that a lot. But anyways, did you have anything on your mind, or not really?
I mean, dude, there's so many things that I've just recently started noticing that I have.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. I've got 4 older brothers.
Get a little closer to the mic, yeah?
There's oh, sorry. There's 5 of us, and what's funny is my oldest brother. I notice, like, when he gets mad, and same with my dad, they like clench their jaw. And you can just see it right here, and it's like a vein that pops up, right? And you're like, oh crap, Dad is pissed.
Right.
Okay. And
so he boils. He's not one of those guys that just is exploding. He's not erupting. He just sits there and boils.
Yeah, all of us do it. And I noticed that I started doing it too. And I remember looking at my brother and going, wow, man, I don't do that.
Right.
And what's funny is my wife, actually, she's the one that, I can always tell you're mad because you clench your jaw, and then you've got this thing that pops up right here.
Yeah.
And but the one thing about my dad is he's a great man, and we're both in the same line of work. I got another family member that's in it, and
right.
You could tell he's floored, but he's gathering his thoughts, and I think that's something that I'll do. And it's just kind of like you stand back and you're gathering your thoughts.
Right.
You're pissed.
Right.
But then you're sitting there. All right, this is what I need you to do, and you just kind of
filing your emotions.
It's kind of like I'm gonna ask you, I'm gonna tell you, and now I'm gonna make you kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
But if you ask them, 90% of the time they're just gonna do it.
Right.
And this comes in handy, especially at work and whatever you do. And
right.
And I'd say that's one that I've noticed, and especially at work. I remember my first day on the job, and I remember this guy. I get out and he's on his bike, and I have to tell him to get off his bike.
Right. For anybody that's listening, he's a police officer.
So, this is my first day on the job, and I remember telling the guy, like, excuse me, sir, you need to, you're brand new. I'm fresh out of the academy.
I'm trying to be a good cop, but
dude,
also so many different angles.
There's a lot of weird things happening because one, you're trying to be like, you're trying to do your job. One, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Right.
You're in the academy and everything they teach you there.
Right.
The second you're on the street, it's like boop, out the window. You
really?
know what I mean? And then you have a training officer that's
right.
watching your every move,
right,
and documenting your every move.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of like this, all these cameras on you. You know what I mean? It's,
right.
There's so many. I don't know. It's really stressful.
Under the scalpel. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're trying to. You don't know how to talk to people yet, and I just remember where I realized I had it was. We stopped this guy, and he was I forget what it was for. He was wanted for something, matched the description, ended up being the guy.
Right.
So the guy ended up going to jail. But I just remember hopping out of the car and, excuse me, sir, like, get off the bike. And he looked at me and just told me, hey, F off, bro.
Right.
I'm like, wow. Well, my dad did it, and it happened 90% of the time. This guy didn't get off his bike. And then I just remember that moment. I just, like, totally forgot that I had a training officer watching me. And I just, dude, I'll give you 2 seconds to get off that bike.
Right.
Or I'm going to take you off the bike. And dude got off the bike. And I just remember, like, I was, clenching my jaw.
Right.
I was mad. I'm like, dude, you didn't get off the bike.
Right.
But I'd say that's something that I've really noticed that I have, and it's good.
Uh-huh.
But it also, if you don't manage it, kind of like what I was just saying with you,
Right.
you know, it could be bad. Because that's the one thing you don't want to do is be that cop that thinks he's macho and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Right. You try to keep emotion out of it, I would imagine.
Yeah, but I still try to keep that. I'm going to ask you first nicely.
Right.
And then I'm going to tell you.
What a bullet dodge for that guy, because he's thinking it's a cop, but in reality, it's a cop on his first day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only the stress of you're going up to some stranger, like some random dude who knows what he's going to do. He could just pull a gun on you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're so stressed already just getting out of the car. Like just sitting next to the guy in the car where he's just looking at you, judging your every move, you're stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you got to go perform.
Well,
so you're stressed going into the situation.
Oh, it was terrible because the academy was horrendous, right?
Right.
I mean, it was fun. I would say it's the best, worst fun I've ever had in my life, because you have all your buddies. You know, you're getting destroyed, but you're getting destroyed with all your buddies.
Right.
You know, and you actually work towards something, and you feel like you earned it at the end.
That's cool.
But then once you get to where you're going, and you know you're in the car, and it's just like, you know, your head's spinning.
Right.
It's like, here's all this paperwork, here's this, here's that. You know, oh, do you know how to do this? No, well, they should have taught you that. You know,
right.
The academy, they're writing it down.
You should know everything, right?
And I mean, and if you get so many marks down in your book, you're fired. So you know,
that's tough, dude.
Yeah,
that's the joke with the with my job right now. If you're a 5th-year apprentice, right, you get raises for the apprenticeship, but then once you graduate, it's still a decent jump. Like from 5th-year apprentice to journeyman electrician, there's still a big pay raise. So the joke is always the most valuable guy in your job is a 5th-year apprentice, because he knows a lot. He's been in the trade for 5 years. He can work pretty good, but he's still way cheaper than a journeyman. And the most worthless guy in the job is a first-year journeyman.
Yeah.
So I was a joke today. I brought that up. I got with this new foreman today, and he's yada, 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 and I have school next week, right? It's this training thing for the union. And so obviously I have to take off work, and he's like, oh, dude, we're just starting these huge solar panel array on top of this building. And he's like, oh, dude, you're leaving me or whatever? And he's like, dude, you're my 5th year, man. Like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what am I going to do? He's like, you're my bread and butter. And I'm like, bro, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be your worthless guy on your crew. Like, don't even trip. I take the test in like 2 weeks. But it was a funny joke. But anyways, right on, dude. It's funny how we both kind of had the same thing of like you and our dads of like reacting to that initial anger and stress. And it's like, how do you react to that? It's interesting that we both, you know what I mean? But, dude, we had this huge, so there's like one girl on our job. There's probably, as far as all the trades, everybody that's on this job that I'm on, there's probably 100, maybe. Probably 100 people. And today they're like, hey, they're really cracking down. Safety guys, like, zero tolerance policy about sexual harassment because there's one girl on this job, right? And the construction industry, I would assume from what a gazillion older guys have told me, has gotten way more politically correct from what it used to be. Back in the 80s, every old guy has told me, like, dude, you come in drunk, you come in, you're doing coke, you're bumping cocaine, like, on the job. Nobody cares. Just get it done. You know what I mean? It used to be bad, dude. Like, I've heard of guys still to today from my guy that does rebar. He's like, oh, yeah, 9 a.m., guys are cracking coldies while they're on their first break. You know what I mean? It's construction. And it's all burly men. If you're not burly, if you come to work wearing, like, skinny jeans or something like that, oh, my gosh, you're going to get shit on so hard. Like, bad. So, and I'm not saying that I'm saying that's the way it is. I'm not saying, like, that women aren't welcome. Bigger unions and unions are more popular because it's more politically correct to get women in the trades. And the bigger that they are, then they're more political and more in the spotlight and stuff like that. They aim to be more diverse, right? It's kind of, like a big company. Like, we want to be diverse. That way there's no people looking, right? So, like, the electricians they're huge because we're usually the first ones on the job, last ones to leave. So there's a lot of work, which means we need a lot of electricians compared to other trades. So I think it was a communications girl is what she's working or something like that. She's doing low voltage. But anyways, there's one girl on this job, okay? And So it's one of those things where it's like, where they're talking about this, everybody already knows, like, well, it came from this one girl, probably. You know what I mean? And it was just interesting to me to think of the fact of, like, what other industry is there where it almost used to be like 100% all big burly men, but now that women are starting getting into the trade, which is fine, like I said, if you can do the work for any job, I don't care. If you can do the same amount of work, I don't care. Where now there's one girl, and I'll tell you straight up, dudes will be shouting down a hallway. They're like, "Hey, you gonna get that shit done?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, suck on this cock and balls, you fairy." Like, dude, it's still bad. Like, and like, I'll joke, like, I'll say something like in front of my mom or something, and my dad, like, I'll say the F word, and my dad will be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." Like, you trash talk. If you don't trash talk at work, for the most part, it depends on what crew, but you gotta play the game, right? And it was just interesting to me to think of, like, okay, I'm trying to put myself in the perspective of this girl. Like, you know you're getting into a job that's almost 100% dudes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I'm trying. Where do I want to go with this? I'm trying to think of, like, not what are your expectations, because, like I said, if somebody does really sexually harass you, like, that's not cool. I'm totally with you. But, like, where does that sprout? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't just happen that it's 100% dudes. It's because very little women want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think that comes from? For you, you're being a cop, a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's more women law enforcement for sure than there's construction. I would argue that.
Oh yeah, dude, we got
quite a bit, right?
quite a bit. Yeah.
And they do a good job, right?
Yeah, some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
you know,
everything.
you have you know, there's two females that I work with a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I mean, shoot, if they could do the job, man.
Right. I'm
you
all
know,
for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it, and you know, I trust them with my life. One of them, you know,
Uh-huh.
she'll knock your teeth out.
Really?
You know what I mean? She'll
Yeah.
throw two dudes over your. She's big.
Yeah.
All right?
For sure.
But no, they're, you know, if you could do the job, but, you know, I have no problem with it. And, you know, the thing is it's hard, kind of like what you were saying. Kind of, you have to watch.
You have to be overly aware of what you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, one of them on our shift, it's all guys.
Uh-huh.
We have one female, right?
Right.
And she kicks ass, dude. We consider her like a brother.
Right.
You know, she gets along. I mean, dude, she probably talks more shit than any of us.
Right.
Oh, dude, she'll put you to shame,
She
dude.
cusses like a sailor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I wouldn't be talking, you know, saying jokes and all that kind of stuff, and unless I really knew her.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing is, like, once you get into some things at work that are high stress, high adrenaline, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird. You get like a weird bond with everyone, you know.
Right.
And it only takes a couple situations to where you're just like, okay, you know, we're cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I look at her as like one of the guys, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's an awesome opportunity.
you know what I mean? And
yeah.
And it wasn't like, what's the word I'm looking for? She wasn't, you know, one thing I really respect about her is she didn't come in demanding it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was, I mean, really, dude, she, you know, like I said, a couple situations you get in and you're just like, all right, man, she's got my back.
Right.
You know, she could totally, if something arises, she's going to handle it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I would say that's probably the worst part about my job is if you're with someone that you question if something's about to hit the fan.
Right.
Is that person going to be ready or are they going to crumble?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's dangerous.
Right. It's your life.
You know, not only am I watching my own life, now I've got someone that's pretty indecisive of what they need to do and whatever, and now I'm watching myself and them.
Right.
When I need to be focusing on, you know, this.
Right.
But I didn't answer your question, but
No. No, I was just, to be honest with you, I didn't even know where I was going with it, but it was just, I was thinking about, like, because there's some times where you're like, oh, like, I'll be straight up with you. There's some times where dudes say stuff, and it's like, look, that's not appropriate around a woman. But then there's some stuff, like, I've come across where it's like, really? Come on, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, you're just slowing things down now, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's some stuff like that. And, it's like that with guys, too, I'm sure. Like, really? You're going to bitch about that, dude? You know what I mean? So I totally get it. Let's move on. I got a few more things here. Let me see here. I got $8 blowjob. I'll tell you that one really quick. So my buddy, this is his whole, like, just
that wasn't a joke. That's actually written down.
It's written down right here.
All right.
I have 8 written as a number, $1 blowjob. So this is my buddy. This happened last weekend. He will remain nameless. But we were watching the Super Bowl, and him and all his friends, you know, they have those squares, and they're in, like, multiple things where, you know, you're betting, okay, this happens, so you get this amount of money, and blah, 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 blah. So the game was done. Okay, final score, and he's looking at it, and he goes, dude, I won $1,000. And everybody gets all excited, like, you did? And like, what was the final score? He's like, yeah, I'm adjacent. Like, you know, if you win it, it's like $2,500, but if you're adjacent, it's $1,000. He's like, hell yeah, I won $1,000. His fiance, super cool girl, she goes, that means I get half, right, babe? And he could see him in his eyes. He's like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you just cut him in half in his, like, greatest moment ever. You know what I mean? But, like, so we all heard that, right? And then we hear his dad's, like, looking at it, like, 5 minutes later. He goes, dude, you don't get $1,000. He's like, it's $200, and it's divided, like, between everybody that's adjacent or whatever like that. So they're calculating that. So everybody hears that he didn't win. I go to say goodbye. My buddy's already pretty liquored up, right? So he can tell the story, but he's, like, telling it kind of slow. So at first I'm like, okay, come on, like, get through it, dude. Like, I've already heard all this. But he tells me the part that nobody else heard, right? That his fiance was like, this is when they still thought he won $1,000. She's like, so I get half, right? And he was like, well, what do I get out of it? You know, what is it? What's in it for me? And she's like, I'll blow you. So she's thinking, I'm gonna hook my fiance up, which is something, you know, I do often or whatever. I don't know their sex life, but I'm gonna hook my fiance up. I'm gonna get $500. Like, it's a solid, you know. And I love stories where things switch because he tells me, he goes, well, then my dad realized that I wasn't getting $1,000, but the deal we already shook hands. Like, the deal had already been done.
It's already done.
You get half of whatever my winnings are, and you got to blow me. My dad goes, no, it's $200 divided by blah, 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 blah. You get $16. So now she has to blow him, and he has to give her $8, dude.
Did the deal happen?
I texted him on Monday. I was like, how was that $8 blowjob? And he's like, it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think it's happening, brother.
Yeah, it was just, he's like, dude, she's so pissed right now. It made me laugh just because she went into it like, hell yeah, I just got to hook up my fiance for $500.
Just totally flipped.
And then now it turns into, I get this, all I got to do is pay her $8, dude.
Dude, you know what? I'm just trying to think. I know we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And I know that there's got to be a story in there where same thing, flipped on us like that.
Oh, 100%. One thing that I've learned.
And I wish Sean was here because.
You already know.
Dude.
He's got one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sean Starnes, you're coming on soon, all right? If you're listening, you're coming on.
We're coming.
We're getting you down. But anyways, one of the biggest things that I learned when I was younger, like right at the end or like right after high school, you know, you're trying to hook up. Like, dude, quick segue. I remember when I was like 9, or when I was a little kid, once you're aware of what puberty is, I just remember, God, I want to hit puberty because I want to, like, be a man and, like, get strong and blah, 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 blah. And look, I mean, I killed that, but you know what I mean, though? But I just wanted to hit puberty so bad. I remember I asked this neighborhood kid that was, like, in the midst of puberty before I hit it. And I was like, dude, isn't puberty great? And he's like, no, dude, it sucks. And I was like, what? Like, it was like, my back of my head blew off. Like, what? He's like, dude, you want to have sex so bad, but you don't. Like, not nearly as much as you, like, want to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that's probably just him. But no, that's true. But anyways, so, like, after high school, right after, like, you know, 18, 17, 19, right in there, you would go, if you went to go hang out with a chick and you were thinking, like, we're going to hook up. If you went with that mentality
it's not happening.
And it didn't happen,
it's not happening.
You were the maddest guy in the world. Even though you might think it might happen, you have to go in there and go, I'll see what happens. You know what I mean? I'll see what happens, like a magician. Oh, you know what? Maybe something will happen. You know? But if you go in there going, I'm getting laid tonight, and then it doesn't happen, and you start making stupid stuff because you're like, I set this line in the sand. It's going to happen when, you know, you shouldn't push anything or whatever. The chick's like totally not into it. You end up making a huge ass out of yourself. Allegedly. I've never done that. But anyways, where were we going with this?
I don't know, man. You tell me, bro.
Something about where things flip
Something about puberty or whatever.
Yeah. What else do I have? I have Julia cut hair first. Oh, yeah. So that's a stupid story. I cut my hair. This girl, I was in 5th grade. She was in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
It was my neighbor's cousin growing up. It was technically like my first girlfriend, air quotes. And she's like, well, she wrote me a note because she knew I liked her. And it was that thing where, like, you write a note and then we have, like, these two people that are sitting across the street.
Yes, no.
No, it was like,
kind of one of those things.
It was like, I think you're really cute and I'd love to, like, go out with you. If only you would cut your hair. And I had my dad give me, like, a horrible buzz cut, like, that night. And then the next day I saw her, and it's like, oh, my gosh, he cut his hair, blah, 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 blah. And we went out for, like, 2 weeks.
And then you wish you could have kept your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worst decision of your life, right?
I learned a lot of life lessons early on.
I miss my hair. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember when my hair was down to here? Down to my shoulders?
I remember how symmetrical it looked.
Oh, my God. You and the symmetrical.
Now you kind of have it off to one side, and it looks great, dude. You know what I mean? Because it's a similar hairstyle to mine, but you pull it off 10 times better. But
it's the stash.
It is a stash. It's a lot of things. But anyways, what else do I have on here? Well, dude, we're in 56 minutes, so we can do the ending of what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do here, I guess we'll wrap it up. But so on Instagram today, I just kind of asked, I threw the questionnaire thing up there on my Instagram stories. Hey, man, I'm doing a podcast tonight with a good friend. What do you want to hear? Kate Harrington asked me, what makes you happy? So you'll get your... do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? How do you want to play it? Do you have an answer already?
Yeah, man. What makes me happy?
At first, I was kind of like, oh, good question. I'm like, ooh, Kate.
That's a deep question.
That's a deep...
You know, because that could... If you would have asked me what made me happy a few years ago,
right,
would have been completely different.
Totally.
You know,
it's a moving target.
It is, and I would say it's always evolving.
Right.
I'd say a few years ago, what made me happy was surfing, my dirt bike, and hanging out with friends. That was, and then family as well.
Distant fourth.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But now it's like we're getting older. I'm married now, and I would say what makes me happy is just traveling, being with my wife, family. I don't know. That's a deep one, man.
Yeah.
But I would say that's. Still, when I'm surfing, I'm still really happy.
Right.
But I'd say your priorities change.
Mm-hmm.
And, just hanging out at home, man. Just the small things. I think I appreciate that more, and that's what really makes me happy.
Totally. I totally get that.
What about you? My stash, I know. I know.
If I pull back these curtains, it's just hand-drawn drawings
I
of
know,
your
dude.
stash.
I know. It's something else, huh?
Yeah. No, it's... I love it when I'm making a ton of people laugh, dude. And it's like genuine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love it when it's just I'm killing either that or I'm just making everybody laugh. And myself as well. Like I'm just, God, like I'm thinking it's funny. Everybody else is thinking it's funny. We're all just so happy to be there. We're all laughing. I love that. And I love those moments where either it's you can kind of pick a scenario. Either somebody's having a horrible day and I'm able to help them, or somebody's having a great day, I'm able to make it better. But there's just that I'm able to use the tools that I've developed through the show or just whatever, you know what I mean? Like just the conversationing skills and listening skills and stuff like that to be able to add to somebody's life, you know what I mean? Where you have that deep connection. I love that. So that deep connection to add to somebody's life and laughter with everybody around me, I think would be my two happies. Thanks, Kate, for the question. The next one was from one of my recent guests from the Laugh Show, who was drunk off his ass. Damasio Sanchez said he wants to hear Drunk Masio. Yeah. Supernatural story is what he wanted to hear. And I've got one. I don't know. You probably won't have one. I've got one. In 7th grade, this is a true story, by the way. 7th grade, this kid breaks his arm in PE. I don't know who he is. He's a new kid. 7th grade was a new school for me named Rancho Starbuck in Whittier, California. And this kid, early on in the first semester of that school year, breaks his wrist. I want to say maybe his early part of his arm near his wrist, but I think it was his wrist, but breaks it. So right away within the first couple of weeks, boom, cast goes on. Covers probably from his hand and his wrist up to his elbow, just below it maybe, right? And this young man is a skinny, well-fed but skinny young man, Hispanic descent, slightly hairy. And a few months goes by, the wrist heals, and the supernatural part comes, full moon. They take off his cast.
He's a werewolf.
And he's a wolf man, werewolf. His name was Damasio Sanchez. That's why I call him the wolf man. Fuck you, Damasio. That was a stupid-ass answer. No, I love you, dude. Thanks for the answer. And then the last question, which I've been, for 2019, I'm answering, I'm ending every show with this, is what does standing still mean to you, man? What does that mean? And we kind of already touched on it probably with, what makes you happy. But what does standing still mean for you, bro?
What does it mean to me? I would say, why do I enjoy listening to it, or
not even the show, but just what's kind of what the show title means. For me, standing still means just having that moment in time of not thinking about the past or the future, where you're just enjoying where you are at, whatever you're doing, whether. There's certain tools like what you were talking about, surfing, dirt bikes, you know what I mean, for me as well. There's certain tools that kind of help you get there, but it's that moment. It means that moment of I'm content, I'm here, and I love it. I love where I'm at. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm not thinking about, man, what am I going to do next? Or, man, I should have done this. It's just, here I am.
I would say it's, good conversation and being real. You know what I mean?
Genuine.
This is the first time for me, something like this.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a talkative guy. Yeah. I'm a little choked up here, but
talkative Tuesday. Yeah.
It's a different experience, and I would say just being real with people. Mm-hmm. And then when I listen to it, guys that I didn't know that you've had on the show, I've seen them around or whatever, and you really get to really know that person. I don't care about the past or what he's doing in the future or whatever, you kind of like what you said.
Right.
But you really get to see what that guy's about just on that short segment that you have.
Huh.
And I think that's pretty cool because kind of going back to some of the earlier stuff we were talking about where judging a book by its cover kind of thing.
Right.
And you see someone and you're already going to sign them off see that guy?
Right.
Nah, man, I'm not going to talk to that dude.
Yeah.
But then when you have him on the show, like a guy that I would, I'd probably never have a conversation with, you're like, oh, that dude he's pretty funny. Seems like a cool guy. But yeah, I think just being real and having a good conversation and really getting to know someone's roots, I think that's pretty cool.
I appreciate it, dude.
So,
thanks for the answer. I love it.
So wait, going back to the Damasio thing, that was it. Just that's the super. I'm like, look, dude, this is like a story. I'm like, this is gonna get good. This is gonna get good, and it's just like, I'm sorry, Damasio, but it's got to be more to that story. Like, I thought you were gonna say he broke his arm, and in 1 week it was completely healed.
No, okay, look.
Supernatural, you know what I mean?
Super.
So you just had a hairy ass arm, or what's the deal here?
It was super hairy, yeah, which is a thing when you get a cast. But no, he said supernatural story, and I'm like I was thinking because it came out today, right? I posted it at lunch at noon, so then it took him like an hour. I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to answer that?
I love you, man. I'm not hating on you.
No, I love it too, but I was just like, dude, are you kidding me? Because everybody can see it. Like, oh wow, how is Steven going to come up with a supernatural story? And I'm like, well, fuck, the only thing I know is a guy that I've been calling Wolfman since 7th grade.
So that's your supernatural stories. You remember his hairy ass arm.
This young boy became a legend in the area known as Wolfman because he had a hairy ass arm after he had a cast on.
You got nothing else, man? You got
supernatural?
You don't, okay, but you don't have anything that you're like, wow.
Supernatural?
Yeah. Could you even put like?
What are you bringing to the table?
I don't know. I'm waiting for you to say something. I mean, can't you?
This is your show.
Can't you even tie in like paranormal? Isn't that kind of supernatural?
You know what? I'm a pretty level-headed guy. Supernatural.
Right? Isn't ghosts? Isn't that
yeah?
kind
Supernatural's
of
like ghosts and stuff like that.
I got one. I got one.
Be my.
Bring it on.
I want everybody to
I
have
don't
their
know.
judging cards
okay,
ready.
All right. I don't know. Everyone's got what they believe, whatever. I was pretty skeptical about the whole ghost thing. But I'm 100%. I like it's real. It's real. Okay.
This is when we stopped being friends for a little bit, right? When you told me this. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Tell your story.
Yes, it is. Dude, so
I totally derailed you. I'm sorry.
You know what you did? You derailed me, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, this is kind of a cool story, but not really. Again, at work.
Yeah.
Okay, we get a like a burglary alarm that goes off in this warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this old ass warehouse that's been around since like late 1800s, maybe like I'd say like the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it's multi-level, whatever. And this is way back in the day, and I've heard stories that, like, dude, that place is haunted, whatever. And I've been through there, like, a bunch of times because the wind blows, and then it sets the alarm off, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go in there, and it's kind of one of those, got to go there again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, walk through with your flashlight, typical,
right.
cop movie, whatever.
It's not your first time, yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, it's me. Usually it's just me and then my partner that I roll with. I've had the same partner at work for like 3 years, right?
Right.
Him and I together have both been through this place numerous times, right?
Right.
So this time around, we go and we have this other guy and his partner. They showed up. Like, yeah, we'll go with you guys. This dude that's with us, he used to play at Oregon State, right?
For football?
Yeah, he's huge. He's probably like 6'5", like 290 pounds. Like,
shit.
Guy bench presses like 410 pounds. Dude's just a freaking monster.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Like at work, another story here, man. If I get out of the car, I always get into some fight because they look at me like, look at this small cop. and then we get into a fight and whatever.
Yeah.
They see this guy hop out. It's like he's sitting in the back seat. You know what I mean? Like, because his legs reach all the way to the front. This guy's a giant. Hops out, and he could just toss the dude the cuffs, and they go, all right, I'm going to jail. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I were to look at you, I go, this guy's never been in a fight in his life. Look how symmetrical he is. Nobody's ever hit that guy.
That's what they think, man.
Yeah, continue your story, yeah.
But anyways, we have this guy with us, and we got his partner. So we make it all the way up to, like, the 5th floor. This place is creepy, dude.
Right.
And I remember we were walking through. There's never any lights on. And we're walking through, and it's completely empty warehouse. There's nothing in there. It's just empty floor, And I guess back in the day in, like, the early 1900s, stuff was dangerous for warehouses, so guys died all the time. So, anyways, we're walking. I remember we were walking from one end to get to the roof. We were going to check the roof because, we actually get people that go up there and, like, try to commit suicide or do stuff up there on the roof.
Right.
And it's an incredible view. It's a cool area. But, anyway, so we're going to the roof. We make it to the roof. There's no one there. So now we're walking down. I remember we were walking towards the stairs. You literally have to come up the elevator, and then you got to walk complete across this building to get up to the roof, right? We were using, all of us, our flashlights. It's pitch black in there.
Right.
Okay. Now we're coming back towards the elevator, and I would say every, like, 50 yards, this thing's huge. Every 50 yards, there's, like, another cargo, elevator, right?
Okay.
And I remember one of them when we were walking towards the roof was like broken, and it was like the door was. It's not like your typical elevator. It's got like the metal that comes down,
Right.
and then
Yeah,
it's
for sure. Old school.
It's creepy.
Yeah, where
You know, everything
the
going on.
guy actually like closes the gate.
Yeah. No, it's creepy. The whole thing's creepy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're walking, and I just remember none of us are using our flashlights coming back, and it took me. We made it 3/4 of the way back. We're walking, and I just like you get that feeling of someone's watching you, right?
Right.
And I'm the guy. So we're all walking in a straight line, like shoulder to shoulder, just kind of shooting the shit, whatever. And we're walking. And I remember I was back just a little bit, so no one's behind me.
Right.
And this is an empty warehouse, right?
Right. And
So
you've already walked up. You're
Yeah.
walking down now.
Yeah. So so basically, you have to you come up the elevator, and then you have to walk all the way across to get to the stairs to get up to the roof.
Right.
So we're on the top floor just before you get to the roof.
Right.
So now we're walking all the way back, and then you get in the elevator and it takes you down to the base floor or whatever.
Right.
So we're walking, and I just go, hey, is it just me, or was it really dark when we came in here? And I remember one of the guys was like, oh, shit, like he's right. Like this was pitch black when we came through here. So now we're all kind of like, ooh, getting.
And now you can see without a flashlight.
And then the big guy that's like a giant, he goes, and he's hilarious, dude. He would be a good guy to have on this show. He's freaking hilarious. Anyways, he's going, oh, you guys are stupid. There's no such thing as ghosts. And we're like, dude, like there was no lights on when we came through here.
Right.
Oh no, these were all on. These were all on. So as we're walking, this thing, like, it was like a bolt or a rock or something came whizzing from behind me, by my head, by everyone, and just flew across to the other end of the room and just like hit the side and bounced off a bunch of stuff, made a bunch of noise.
Right.
And it was like, look at all of us, like, oh yeah, there's 4 badass cops, yeah, we're walking, dude, we were like little girls, dude, just full sprint.
You didn't even turn around?
And then the biggest guy that was like, the tough
ogre,
dude, dude, first guy in front, like, like running, right?
You just ran out.
Oh, dude, we got out of there, man. And
you didn't even like investigate what it was?
No. Why? Why would I do that?
You're the cops. You're the investigator.
Okay, here's the thing. It's wide open. There's nowhere for anyone to hide. We already walked from one end to the other. There's no way anyone was behind us. There's absolutely no way. There's no other logical answer for this. Something threw something at us.
4 individual men that grew up in separate households and have now joined together through a career.
Yes.
Are all walking. And as that rock passes them, all 4 come to the same conclusion that
it's a ghost.
There's no way I even need to turn around.
Nope.
It must be supernatural. There's nothing I can do.
There's nothing.
But run forward.
There's absolutely nothing, dude.
So you guys ran, boom, out. To this day, you have no clue what happened.
Dude, I've been back there once. I refuse. There's this thing where like, one thing I noticed, in the computer in our cars, right?
Yeah.
You'll be sitting there and dispatch will start generating a call because like something's coming out, like the alarm company's calling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see like you'll see it popping up on the computer, like the first thing pops up. And you're like, oh guys, there's a call coming out. There's a call coming out. And you see that it's in your area. You're like, oh crap, what is it? And then you see the first comments of the call coming up, and you're like, it's that building.
So it's live. You can see like.
Ashley's typing it in. She'll update it, whatever, or whoever's up at dispatch, whatever.
Right.
But everyone in their car can see it.
Right.
Right. And you're just like, we got something coming. And then once I see it's that building, I'll be like, we got to find something else to do. So that before she dispatches the call, it goes to someone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you'll be like, be over here, open door, checking this building, whatever. And then all of a sudden, now she can't send it to me. She'll send it to someone else. And then I'll clear immediately. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm clear and available for calls, I refuse to go in that building, dude.
You're done.
It's hard to explain. Yeah, there was a rock. I'm sure everyone that's going to be like, wow, I can't believe all these guys ran. But we all felt that cold, weird, like energy feeling You know, the Bible talks about it. You know, it's just like, you know, Bible, I'm pretty sure it says something about a rock flying by you and you better run. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, no, that was, there you go, Damasio. There's my supernatural.
I was about to say, you brought it. That was
there
a
it
good
is,
story.
man. There it is.
Damasio Sanchez, thank you, sir. Is there anything you want to add to this podcast before we end it?
Nope, that's it, man. Thanks for having me. And
thanks for coming, dude. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we are out. Take care, everybody.